What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Nier Automata version 1.1. With me, as always, I have Loosebit.
hmm Um, so this is much of this episode throughout is anime original,
I
showcasing
was
yeah,
I was wondering about that because I have been playing the game recently, and I wasn't sure if they were maybe taking things from the other routes or if this was like anime original. I looked it up, and people were saying that these were new scenes. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
especially the one new character that they introduced. I think her name is Lily, who's
I
who's part of the Resistance.
I was wondering like why they decided to replace the resistance commander with her because in the game it was a Anemone, right? And then the
Yeah,
anime they're replacing. I guess they're replacing her with this character.
I think it's possible that Anemone is still a part of the Resistance in this show.
Uh,
I guess I get they announced this new character Lily in the trailers even before the series came out,
yeah.
which I realized like I don't remember her being in the game, and until I found out a little bit later that some people who've watched like I think it was the near stage plays that they had in Japan that she was a character in that one instead of the game.
Interesting. It's interesting they're taking from that from the stage play.
Yeah. Uh, so I mean, I don't know what kind of role she's gonna end up playing. Maybe she might play a role in bridging the gap and trying to meld some of these routes together to make it. I don't know. Maybe make it a little bit more cohesive in a way. Because they mentioned
Mhm.
something that Lily has some kind of relationship with A2, who's a character that'll appear a little bit later in this series.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, when the episode started, I was kind of surprised because it actually starts focuses on this one robot, uh, and this robot starts to like uh, I guess to gain the I don't know, you become more sentient in a way, or just uh, is not like hostile towards people. It just wants to like basically create a garden
This
and
is
starts
this is
growing
some
flowers.
Well, this is something that they, that this has been touched on in in the Nier Automata game, but it never really got fully explored. So there during throughout like each playthrough, like whether you're playing as 2B or 9S, you run into many of these machines that are not really following their programming and going after like any of the Yorha androids. Instead, they're going off on their own, like being more peaceful, going against their programming and such.
Yeah, I
And
mean, like you
because
have all the robots in the amusement park, for instance. They're just that are basically just like playing around there essentially, and not, I guess, doing what they were, I guess, programmed to do.
yeah, especially like same with the robots in Pascal's village, which
Yeah,
of course it's they're not showing they're not appearing in the anime just yet, but they will pretty soon. But yeah, it's really showcasing, and plus it also has a potential effect with the upcoming antagonists coming up in this current route that they're showing.
mm,
So I guess the reason why they're showing off this particular character is to showcase the consequences of of those actions, probably in the later parts of of the shows a little bit later.
yeah. But we do see that this robot eventually gets like basically we see the progression of this robot growing this garden, and then the other robots kind of following along and helping out with like cultivating, or like growing these flowers. Um, but eventually the robot gets caught up in like a skirmish between the other robots and the resistance group, where he pretty much gets killed. Like he gets caught in the crossfire, um, and we see like in his last moments he's like grasping a lunar tear, which is one of the flowers you find in the game. Um, and then that's kind of when they eventually decide to well, actually I think after this there's even more anime original content because they show some of what is going on with the resistance group, that I don't think is we ever get to see in the game, where they just kind of show things from their perspective. Um, and that's kind of where we're introduced to this new character of Lily.
Yeah, she's I guess they're designating her as I guess the commander of the group, or I like I said, she's pretty much new to the main plot point of the of the show. She's not really, like I said, she's not in the game, so they're not giving a reason as to why she's being involved in the storyline, including her interacting with 2B and 9S by the end of this episode. So whatever role
Mhm.
she's going to end up playing is a bit unknown at this point.
Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention there are some scenes they occasionally cut back to where they're just kind of talking about. I don't know if they're talking about like the history of the robots, or something, where they have like um I'm not exactly sure what that was about, because I
It's
don't remember it from the game, so I
so it's
don't. Yeah.
so it's basically just the, I guess, the initial summary of how this world became to be, because like saying that
Yeah.
humanity is going to near extinction because aliens invaded Earth, and then and it got inhabited by these machines. So humans evacuated to the moon to build like this android army to go after the machines invading their home world, and this has been going on for centuries. I guess maybe more than 2 centuries, I think, but maybe
Yeah,
longer than that.
there are some other things, but yeah, the exposition that we get is similar to how it is in the game, except the visuals are different. I guess they have a different way of presenting it in the anime.
Yeah, and it switched, and of course, we do get some scenes of course, they were pulled out from the game, showcasing the first appearance of the commander of Yorha,
Mhm.
assigning both 2B and 9S to aid the resistance down on Earth.
Yeah. And of course it does happen a little bit differently here too, because they first meet up with the resistance, like during this fight they're having with the robots back on Earth, um, where they kind of intervene and help out. Um, in the game, they just kind of land on a rooftop, and you go to the resistance camp. It happens a little bit differently here.
Yes, I mean they don't end up, well, like 2B and 9S don't end up saving the resistance members during a skirmish.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like you said, it just plays out differently than how the game did. But I expect that they, like this episode, they are kind of um, altering or taking liberties of the plot to some extent.
Yeah, it's kind of what I thought they would do. Along with, of course, adding new scenes. Of course, I didn't really expect the amount of new content that we got in this episode. So, in my opinion, I felt like this was definitely an improvement over the first episode. Which, the first episode, I wasn't really sure how they were going to handle this, and it seemed like they were going to try to do kind of like a one-to-one adaptation of the game. But this episode definitely is kind of subverted my expectations a bit, with kind of adding a lot of this new stuff.
Yeah, and of course, we also forgot to mention that by the end of this episode, we see more machines like inside of a cave reading old books, and then by then you see like this big ominous cocoon structure being built in the middle of this cave, which
Mhm.
will play an important factor, probably maybe in the next episode or two, depending on. Well, obviously, if people who play the game know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think more than likely this is going to be in the next episode. Uh, I think they probably want to get through, get to some of the important stuff that happens to the plot pretty quickly. Um, but yeah, it's that's pretty much where the episode ends, and of course we also get to see the ending, which I kind of like. I like it. I actually like it a little bit better than the opening in terms of its visuals. I guess it's more. It feels like there's more going on. And I like the song too. It's done by the same artist that did one of the songs from the game.
Yeah. Speaking of like the music, they use a lot of the original OST from the game, especially
Yeah,
like some of the soundtrack. Like they did it with the last episode, and they did the exact same thing for this episode too.
yeah, they're definitely reusing stuff from the game. I mean, some people think that they're. I remember. I think you brought up that you thought the CG models for the flight units were reused from the game, but I don't know. I've been playing the game and I really don't think it is because I feel like it looks better in the game, but I don't know. I could be wrong. But it really doesn't look to me like that's the case. But I like I said, I could be wrong about that. It just doesn't look like the models from the game. Um, but they are definitely reusing the soundtrack from the game.
hmm Um, but yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Definitely
Yeah.
showcasing a lot of stuff that really wasn't really explored much from the original game because you were mostly playing with 2B and 9S's perspective. Same with A2 as well. Basically,
Mm.
going by what they experience compared to what the machines are experiencing, like them going against their programming and then just developing intelligence and trying to, in a way, I guess, develop their own ways of expression or human emotion of sorts.
Yeah, I am guessing though, like once you play the other routes in your automata, I can't say because I've only been playing Route A, but I'm guessing it's kind of like replicant where like if you play the other routes, it shows more things from the machine's perspective, kind of like in replicant where you see more things from the shade's perspective, and it kind of gives you a different context of what some of the things that happened in replicant.
hmm
Um, but I'm guessing maybe automata does something similar there. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, for Nier, like, well, Automata is like the only Nier game that I've ever, played. So
Oh, okay.
I have no knowledge of like Dragon Guard or any of the. I haven't even played Replicant yet, so
Hmm.
I'm a little bit behind on that. But yeah, but so far, what I'm seeing is, I would say it's like a good addition. Uh, you know, I would say like this episode is a good companion piece to the Nier Automata game, considering that much of the stuff that was explored in this episode wasn't really explored much in the game itself.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping the anime does more of this, where it tries to expand upon things from the game. So, like, even if you've already played the game, the anime might, have new things to show you.
Yeah. One more thing is, of course, they are continuing on with the whole puppet show, post credit
Yeah,
sequence. Um, I'm From what I can tell, I think they're just playing around with the whole joke ending, thing, like they did in the game. Um, for this episode, they're going on about this whole OS chip thing that. Uh, if you like in the game, like if you end up removing your OS chip, you automatically die and cause a game over. So they did the exact same thing for this little spoof segment.
yeah. I also kind of like how they were using like the menus from the game too.
Yeah. Um.
Uh,
s but yeah, overall, I thought this was a good episode. Yeah. Of course, I am still expecting much of the plot to, you know, to pretty much follow the original game. If I
mm,
were to guess, because this is going to be like a 24 episode series, my guess that the first half will focus on routes A and B, and the second half will focus on C and D, and eventually E if people play through the entire game.
yeah, that might be how they do it. Um, but yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's it. I would say it's definitely a good companion piece if you play through the game,
Mm.
and probably a good addition for people that had complaints with the last episode because they were kind of thrown into it without knowing what the whole backstory of the world is, nor did they know like who these characters were from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean that is pretty similar to how things are in the game too, though. So I mean, I can't really blame them too much for that because they were just kind of trying to, I guess, adapt it the way it is in the game. Although they could have done some anime original thing where maybe they explained that in the beginning or something. But I don't know. I thought it wasn't a bad first episode, but I feel like it could have been a little bit better. But this episode was definitely an improvement. Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, so that
And
all being, oh yeah, go
oh
ahead.
yeah, and I'm still curious of like what role Lily is gonna end up playing, and like what her thoughts on like with 2B and 9S in particular. Because when I noticed like when she first sees the two characters that she shows a bit of animosity towards them, which I'm little bit confused about.
Maybe that could have something to do with her relationship with A2.
Probably, yeah. So I guess we'll have to see if whenever we get to see more scenes with her.
Yeah. Um. Oh, one other thing too that we should also point out is that they even kind of referenced the one of the side quests because somebody pointed out on Twitter that they showed the two of these characters that you have to end up fighting in one of the side quests called I think it was Your Hub Betrayers or something. Um,
Yeah.
and they actually showed those characters, so that's kind of interesting how they're doing that.
Oh yeah, and of course, so we also get to see Devola and Popola as well.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.